My husband got his wisdom teeth removed, and when I walked into the office to pick him up, he saw me and literally gasped, "Oh my God, are you my cab driver?" I instantly realized he was out of it and smirked because this was perfect. For the last few weeks, he'd been working late and turning his phone away when I walked in, so I was about to take advantage of his unaware state to find why. I told him I was indeed his cab driver, then grabbed his arm and guided him to the parking lot. He immediately started flirting with me. "You've such pretty eyes." I got him in the passenger seat and started driving. "So do you have a wife?" He smiled. "Yes, I do. How is she?" He looked down at the ground. "She's not how she used to be." I felt my heart sink. How is she different right now? He looked up, completely delirious. "She's still the prettiest woman I've ever met, but she used to be so much more full of life. Now ever since we had kids, she's stressed and not as happy." I teared up because I realized he'd noticed my stress, even though I'd tried to hide it. But then he continued, "That's why I've started keeping a secret from her." My insides twisted. I asked him what secret, and he smiled at me, still having no idea who I was. "Look at this." He pulled out his phone and gave it to me. I pulled over and unlocked it with tears in my eyes. But then I started scrolling. He'd been secretly booking a 3-month-long couples cruise around Europe for my birthday, coordinating with my managers to give me the time off and keep it a secret. I looked at him and he laughed. "She thinks I forgot how on our first date she told me she wanted to see Europe? I never forgot. I can't wait to see her face when she realizes." I instantly hugged him, but he shoved me away. "Whoa, I know I said you have pretty eyes, but the only woman I'm ever touching is my wife." We went on the cruise 2 months later, and every time he saw my face looking at something new, he smiled like he was the one getting the gift. I grew an inch, and my parents were terrified. My parents told me I had a rare condition that prevented me from growing normally, and I needed to take medication every day. When I was 16, I was only 4'3" and weighed 55 pounds. One day, I heard my dad say, "How much longer do we give her the pills?" Mom said, "Just until she's 18. After that, it won't matter." I didn't understand what they meant. I went back to my room and started Googling my condition. I couldn't find anything about it anywhere. I searched for hours and found nothing. That night, I pretended to take my pill, but hid it under my tongue instead. After my mom left, I spit it out. I took a picture and posted it online. Someone responded saying it was a veterinary growth suppressant used to keep show dogs small. I felt like I was going to throw up. I secretly stopped taking the pills. My mom measured me against the wall where she'd been tracking my height for years and freaked out. She said, "You've grown an inch in 2 weeks. Something's very wrong." She started crushing the pills into my food to make sure they absorbed properly, so I stopped eating anything she gave me. I grew 3 more inches in a month. My dad sat me down at the kitchen table and said, "Your condition is worsening. We need to try a more aggressive treatment." He showed me brochures for a surgical procedure that would insert metal plates into my bones to stop them from growing. That night, I went to look at the brochures and found something else instead, a document about a trust fund. It said my grandmother had left me $2 million, but only if I was over 5 feet tall and healthy at 18. If I was under 5 feet tall and classified as permanently disabled, the money would go to my parents as my legal caretakers. Just then, my parents walked in. I said, "You've been poisoning me since I was born so you could take my money." My dad said, "Your grandmother created an impossible situation. We chose what was best for the whole family." I said, "You chose $2 million over your daughter." He pulled another bottle of pills from the safe and said, "We can still fix this." My mom moved in front of the door and blocked it. I screamed so loudly my neighbor heard and called the police. My parents were arrested and charged with child abuse and fraud. I got the $2 million, but I'll never get back the height they stole from me or the childhood I spent thinking I was sick when I was really just being robbed. I was running to the bathroom when my boyfriend raced past me and locked himself inside. I knocked and begged him to open it. Nothing. I knocked again and said, "I have IBS. You can't do this." He laughed and told me I was being dramatic about my little tummy issues and that he'd be a while. But the cramps hit hard and I doubled over, slamming my fists on the door. I was sweating and told him I was serious, that I couldn't hold it. Eventually, my legs gave out and I dropped to my knees in the hallway. Just before I was about to pass out, our cat Mimi padded right past me toward her litter box in the living room, and the idea hit me. I started crawling toward the litter box on my hands and knees, and every movement made the cramping worse, but I kept going. When I got there, Mimi was mid-squat, so I picked her up mid-poop and tossed her to the side while I pulled myself up using the wall and yanked down my pants. I gripped the edges of the plastic and let go. It was massive, and I could feel the litter shifting underneath me. Mimi was sitting 3 feet away, staring directly at me with her head tilted. When I could finally stand, I went to our bedroom and started throwing everything I owned into bags, and that's when I heard the bathroom door open. He walked past me, holding his nose, saying, "Jesus Christ, the cat took a massive shit in there," but then he saw my bags and laughed. "You're really leaving over this?" As I was walking out with my last bag, I saw him picking up the mess, and I couldn't help myself. I bent down, gave him the biggest smile, and said, "Seems pretty big for such a small cat, right?" His face slowly turned from confused to